So I was doing a squat workout the other day and I was feeling pretty sluggish and I was not at my best. I was not feeling at my strongest. And I started to get really down on myself. I started to think, man, after all these years in the gym, you think that I would be stronger. You think that I'd be in better shape. You think that this particular weight wouldn't be a problem for me on any given day of the week. Now, I will admit, I have those thoughts all the time. And the ironic thing is I think that the stronger you become, the more you actually feel, physically and emotionally feel every little bit, every little difference compared to when you are at your all-time best. It's during times like these when you're feeling discouraged, you're feeling like you're way behind the eight ball, you're feeling like maybe a lot of your training time and energy has been wasted. I think it's important to remind yourself of a few things that will put you back into a state of gratitude and ultimately a state of motivation, which will generate momentum, which will generate better energy, which obviously will improve your performance. And when I think back to probably the most powerful example of this, a lot of you probably know, I broke my leg pretty bad about 4 years ago. And obviously I couldn't walk. I had a hard time just doing basic daily tasks. And I can remember many times sitting on the couch or in my bed with, my leg either in a metal contraption or in a cast, and just thinking, man, if I could just walk around the block without stopping to catch my breath or stopping from any immense pain, I would be happy. If that's as good as it gets, that would be cool with me. If I could just get back to a baseline of pain-free, easy movement. Just something as simple as taking a walk outside without crutches, without a knee scooter, without a wheelchair. Just that sensation of physical freedom. If I could just get that back, I would be happy. Now, of course, whenever you end a sentence, then I would be happy, well, that's maybe something that you should also check yourself on, because, it could always get worse. But what I can tell you is that through a long rehabilitation process, obviously I got back to baseline movement. And when I took that first walk around outside, yeah, it was amazing. I was in a state of sheer gratitude for what my body could do. And ultimately, I think that's what training is all about, is a celebration of what your body can do, in addition to working to improve those capacities. But starting from a place of celebration of what you can do now is so important. So important. And of course, at that time, thinking like front squatting 200-300 pounds, that's not even, not even in the cards, not a goal, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, now it is. And obviously, when you start to bump up against resistance on your way to a goal that you're passionate about, that you're working hard about, you're going to be discouraged. You're going to have some of these negative thoughts, and it's normal. It's nothing to beat yourself up about. But if you can remind yourself of how you can come to your training from a place of celebration and gratitude, I think that's one of the most important things that a lot of people just don't talk about. And if you've come back from a major injury, you know what I'm talking about here. You know that sensation of getting put behind baseline and wanting nothing more than to just get back to normal. And if that hasn't happened to you, a major injury, well, amen. And I hope it never does. But here's another example that I think could be powerful for just about anybody out there who's been training for any amount of time. And that is, there is someone out there who wishes they were as strong as you. And I don't mean this in the sense of like somebody somewhere has a goal where they wish that they could squat as much weight as you're squatting on paper. What I mean is someone that you know, or someone that knows you, maybe if you put out, your training videos on social media, some specific person wishes that they were as strong as you. Someone in your circle is looking up to you. And it's very important that we remind ourselves of that fact. And I'm not saying that you have to go out there and be a role model in the gym or the internet or anything like that. But just imagine if that person who wishes they could be like you, when you're having that moment of doubt and discouragement, how would you feel if that person then came up to you in that moment and said, "Man, you're awesome. Keep up the good work. I wish I was as strong as you. I wish I could do the things that you could do. I wish I was as consistent. I wish I was as passionate. I wish I was as knowledgeable. I wish," etc., etc., etc. What type of mental and emotional switch would go on in your mind and body if someone came up to you and said that? It's very powerful. And most people won't have the gumption to come up and say something like that, but it doesn't make it any less true. And, beyond that, at one point in time, it was you who wished that you were as strong as you are now. Remember that, meditate on that, take that attitude and that reminder with you into your next training session. And I hope it makes as much of a positive difference for you as it has for me.